How's everybody doing? Today I'm doing a video for a friend of mine actually who asked me to try to figure out how to paint something on watercolor paper or any kind of paper and then adhere it to these little journal books. Now this one happens to be a craft cardboard kind of setting, which is the way that most of the books are. So for this video you will need scrapbook paper, watercolor paper, whatever you like. I'm doing this today on scrapbook paper. You'll need a little tray of some kind. I'm going to make my own little wet palette. So you'll need a little spray bottle. You put your napkin on top, spray your napkin, and then put your paints on here. Now the paints that I'm using are Golden Paints, Titanium White, Ultramarine Violet, Perol Red Dark, and Vat Orange. And just for clarification, I just want you to know that I'm an artist educator for Golden Paints, and I was trained for a week in New Orleans and all their products, so I have to acknowledge them on this video, which I appreciate. So I am not getting paid by them. I just get compensated by getting to use the paints, so I'll share my knowledge with you. We are also going to use from Golden Paints extra heavy gel semi-gloss, but you can use gloss. It doesn't matter because you won't see any of this. So if you have extra heavy gel, forget about this, just use that. I'm also an artist educator for silver brushes, and I am using an oval brush, and I am using a Ruby Satin number 10 filbert brush. This brush has a lot of bounce to it, and that's why I'm using it. So since I'm right-handed, I'm going to put my paint over here on my right-hand side. I'm going to get rid of my book, and I'm thinking of putting some 3D leaves, but I haven't totally decided on that yet. For the video purposes, what I did is I cut the paper ahead of time, kind of like where I think I'm going to put it on my journal here, but I'm going to show you how I did it when I get to the bottom here. So this will be cut out. So this you'll see at the end. So I don't wet my brush for this project because we're painting on paper, and we are painting this beautiful flower that I had done in class on scrapbook paper, but this one was on wood. So I'm going to do it on paper anyway to show you how it's done. So first thing I'm going to do is I trace the pattern on my paper. And if you notice, the lines are dark, but since I'm using red paint, you'll get it, that will be covered, so you don't have to worry about it. I'm going to take some red paint and load my brush with red. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically cover those little lines, right, all the way around. But when I paint, I'm going to leave a space between these two little petals so that I can know where I'm at. So I'm going to come down here, load my brush again, and just come here and just load it up. Okay, then I'm going to go to the next petal, and I'm going to leave a little space between them both. And all I'm doing right now is like coloring book color, just filling in the colors. And I don't care that there's a glob here or there. This is the center of the flower, so I'm going to avoid that. And since I love these oval brushes, they almost work like a round brush around the edges here. So I'm just going to put this in here. This is like the coolest project to do if you want to give somebody a gift or anything like that, or if you want to purchase some of my original artwork. You can go on my website under Chris Cruz Designs. If you like the video and you want to purchase the kit to make this, you can go on my website also under painting kits. So it's very, very convenient for you to do. So I got 3 petals. I got this little one here. This one is a tiny one. So I'm going to just be very careful. Come in here. Okay, and there's another one over here. And this is a little flower bud, so I'm not going to paint that one. And this is a big petal here. There we go. Okay. Okay. So if you notice, there's a big petal in here. Okay, so I'm going to paint this one last, but I'm going to fill in this little void in here, and I'm just going to scrub that color in there. I'm not going to be too careful about covering up completely, because when we shade, all of this is going to be covered. So you'll see when we get to that. But I want it to be nice and round. Okay, so now I'm not even going to rinse my brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this Vat Orange and I'm going to put it on the top of my brush, because that's kind of going to mix with the red. And I'm going to dry brush this. Notice that I haven't gone into my water basin. So I'm going to come here and dry brush this orange onto my flower. Oh, I love this. It gives it just such a, I don't know, such an impact. And on this one, it didn't show up too much. I'm going to put a little bit of white just in case. Make this one lighter. And if you notice, I mean, it's already starting to look really cool, right? So now I'm going to take my other orange here, and just for the camera, I'm going to turn it around so that I don't have to cover the image. And I'm going to come here and spread that orange around. And notice how I'm not going over it 100 times. There's a little orange that goes in here on this little petal here, and on this little center here. I'll turn it around again. And I am going to do this big petal down here. Now, since this petal is on the outside, I'm just going to add a little bit of white to my paint, and I want to make this one really pop. Okay. Just like that. So remember I said this one we were going to do last? Well, I'm going to put the purple in first before I put that piece, because that is going to kind of go over this one, okay? But for that, I'm going to rinse my brush completely. And I'm going to take this, whoops, sorry that I moved the camera. This little purple here. And I'm going to fill this in completely. Let me turn this around so that you could see it on the camera. So this goes in here. Turn it around again. Be very careful. And now with the little flowers underneath here, these are little buds of these little red flowers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little red and white. I didn't even rinse my brush, if you noticed. And I am going to put a little bit more white and put my little bud in here. More white. There we go. And these are the little buds that are coming up from on the bottom here. And here's another little bud. So I'm going to put this one just coming all the way in there, so we don't have to worry about this guy later, okay? So these will do last, and this. So now we want to shade in between these little petals, right? So I'm going to take my red paint, and I'm going to load my brush, and I'm going to take a little bit of my purple and put it on the side of this brush. Do you see that? I'm going to go closer to the camera. One side is red, and the little side here is purple. Okay, so I'm going to come in between these little petals here, and I'm going to put a little bit of that dark, just so that I have enough shade, not dark enough for my taste. So I'm going to put a little bit more. Okay, and pick up some purple and go in between these two and shade. And you see how they're separating? Okay, come a little bit closer. I would like these petals to be just a tad closer. I'm going to put a little crease in here. I'm going to separate these two and these here. I'm putting a little purple and more purple in my brush. So here's my purple. And all we've used is 4 colors. I mean, you can paint a lot of stuff with just a few colors of paint. I'm going to shade this one around a little bit. And this one here. Okay. Now the big leaf over here. I'm just gonna close this in a little bit here so it doesn't look funky. And I'm gonna come here and just spread a little bit of that purple around. Okay, so now I will give this little guy a second coat. And the reason why I didn't do that in the beginning is because when it's wet, all you're gonna do is move paint around. But if you give it a minute to dry, look how cool. I love this. Okay, so now you rinse your brush completely. And what we want to achieve is this one here to be the lightest one of them all, like this. So we want this guy to be super light, but that's why we have to do this one at the end. So I'm going to turn this around towards me because it's easier for me to paint this way. And I'm going to take the red and I'm heavy loading this right in here. See that? Following the shape around, all the way around. And now I'm going to take my orange and I'm putting a nice little glob of that on my brush. And I'm going to come here. And because this is such a cute little petal here, I want it to stand out. So there you have it. If it's not bright enough for you, just put a little bit of white in your brush, which is what I'm doing right now. And I'm going to make it a little bit, oh yeah, that's better. Making it a little bit brighter. Okay. And I'm going to just highlight a little bit more of these little guys here. And I'm just using whatever leftovers I have in my brush. Okay. Okay. I just cleaned out my brush because it was getting too much paint, too much buildup. So I'm just going to come here and just hit this with a little bit of the red. Okay, so now I'm satisfied. So I'm going to shade my little petals here. And I'm going to put the stems in. So rather than get another color of paint, which to me doesn't make any sense, oh, and I noticed I have a little there. There was a little piece of something sticking out that I didn't like. So this goes there. Okay, so since it's dark paper, you're really not going to see anything because it's dark. So I'm just going to take a little bit of my orange and my purple. And with my brush here, I'm just going to use the very tip of it. Whoops. I'm going to go straight down. Straight. Okay. So that looks like it could have been a stem, right? And I'm going to just put a little V in there and a little V over here. Now, we are going to glue this little guy to the board. And if you were to glue this to your little journal here, even though this is cardboard, if you were to put something that's wet, like a gel that's liquid, this will buckle because it's water against cardboard. and you don't want it to buckle. You want this to stay as straight as you can get it, right? And I want to put this little guy on here, which I think looks super fabulous, right? So what I'm going to do is to show you how I ripped the bottom of the paper. So what I did is I took my little water bottle. Okay, I'm going to put this here. I sprayed the very bottom of my paper. See that? See how wet that is? I hope you can see it in the camera. Then I turn it around, and on the front, I pull the paper towards me, but holding my two thumbs right here so that I don't rip too much out of it. And why am I doing it on this side? Is because I like to see the little white edges on my paper. Okay, so you got to wait for this to dry completely. Mine has dried completely. And I'm going to move my paint around. I am going to open up my book. I'm not going to do this with the book closed. And I'm debating, I don't know if I want these little leaves on here. I may put just 3 little leaves on here. Once I put this down, I'll decide. So let's leave that for the side here, and we'll see if we like it or not, okay? So if you notice, this gel, I lied. You need one more brush. You need a bigger brush to put your mat on. Now, this is a Silk Silver 88, and I'm going to wet it first because I want my bristles to really move around. Now, remember how I told you this is going to be wet? So I'm taking the back of my paper and I'm putting my gel on, especially around the edges. I want to make sure that those edges have this gel. And this is not glue. This is not Mod Podge, so please don't do Mod Podge. Mod Podge is a good product, but not for what we're doing here. And I'm going to spread this around all the way. And this dries clear, so if you were to get something on the top of it, it won't damage it, okay? So I'm going to come here and make a little bit more of that. So I'm going to now kind of look at it and see. And if it doesn't shine, like right here, that means you missed a spot. So you just come back and put a little bit more. And here I missed a spot. So all the edges are done. And make sure that you don't have gloves on the back of this either, because it will be lumpy when you put it on top. Okay. So now, like I said, I'm going to take my notebook. I'm going to clean my area here just in case I got some of that gel on it. And paint, see that? So what I do is, since I don't have a lot of working space, I take a towel or something, it doesn't matter, a paper towel. And I'm going to put my paper towel right here. Open up you. Come on. It's playing hard to get. There are 2 paper towels here. I know it is. Well, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to lay 2 paper towels. How about that? So I have my 2 paper towels on here. I'm going to put my book here because I don't want anything to damage it. And always look twice to make sure you're on the upside up side. Trust me, I have done it the wrong way. And then you're done. So now I'm going to pick this up and very carefully measure where I want this to be. And I want it to be right there. And I noticed that I got a little water on my piece here. So I'm just going to press this down with a clean napkin. I'm not rubbing. I'm just pressing, okay? And I'm going to check my little edges to make sure that they're all glued down, and see, like here, this dried because I was talking too much. And I'm going to press it down. I'm going to come here and do the same thing. And press it down. Now, all of this, I think, is glued. So now, people ask me, what do I do to protect the surface? So, I think I'm going to glue these little guys in here. Let's see. Let's think about this. I think it's going to take away from my flower, so I'm going to scratch that. So I'm going to come here and take my gel, and I'm going to rub my paper on top. Okay. And this is going to protect it a little bit from people handling it with their hands and everything like that. And because this one is semi-gloss, it's going to have a little sheen to it, but I'm not worried about that. So I'm just going to rub it on there, go side to side, top to bottom, and voila. Now you have a nice original pad of paper. And if you want to give this to a friend as a gift and your paper didn't buckle, see that? And you just let it dry, and you're good to go. So I hope this helped you a little bit. If you like this video, thumbs up, please. I appreciate it. And if you want to leave a comment, I would love that. Or give me an idea of what you would like to see me do next, and I'll be happy to do a video on that. So enjoy this painting. And if you have any questions, just shoot me an email at chriscruzdesigns@gmail.com. Enjoy your painting. Take care. Bye-bye.